All right, I'm now going to be going through and recording basically my attempts to go through the second module here. And I've got it right up on my other screen. It's Excel module two. My plan is not necessarily, I don't want to talk about some of the theoretical concepts. What I do want to do is basically go through the example. The reason I'm going to stay really close to the textbook here is because there's actually some really neat stuff there. Even I learned as I went through, and I've been using products like this since the late 80s. So I'm trying to teach you some of what the book is doing, while at the same time also basically showing you how I would have solved this problem. All right, so what we're going to be doing is basically making a spreadsheet which uses a bunch of sort of the functionalities here. They're talking about basically, obviously, the titles and stuff, which we've already done quite a bit of. We're gonna the key point before we break is we're gonna be doing things like sort of what's it called, fast fill. We're going to be doing some of the formulas that are here. We are going to then at some point break, and then at that point we'll end up sort of at least formatting some of this with conditional formatting, as well as, of course, dollar signs and all that fun stuff too. All right, so if you wanted to save time, you could, in theory, work along with me with this as if this was sort of a classroom setting. So let's go ahead. I'm now sort of right now on, they don't really have page numbers in this MindTap thing, but I'm on EX2-2 is where I'm at right now. All right, so it's basically saying, hey, the first step is to create titles and numbers into the worksheet. Great. So then we go, I'm going to the next thing. Now it's basically saying in 2-2A, it's basically saying, hey, it'd be really cool if you put a title in A1. Well, this is pretty easy. You've done this already. Atlas City Spa. Okay, cool. And then in A2, it's basically saying, hey, put employee sales report in A2. Cool. Um, I don't think it doesn't really care about formatting, so we go on to the next. Now on 20 or 2-2B, we're talking about putting in the column headings. So in the column headings, I sort of just look down, and now it's going to basically give me a list of column headings. I'm going to do a couple right now live, and then after that, I'm going to pause the video and finish them up. All right. So it says in A5, click on A5 and type employee. Then he'll write with the right arrow key, email, right arrow key. Actually, I'm going pretty fast, so I'll just do it here. Oh, service amount starts with an A. Next one is service count. Next one is service commission. Next one is store front sales. That's not how you spell sales. Next one is storefronts. Okay, so sales commission, no, singular. I got to scroll down for a second, and there's like five more. All right, so five more. So after sales commission is hours worked. Next one is hourly pay rate. Next one is gross pay. Next one is gross sales. All right. So now on to step 12 of this. It's going to be highlight the cells and do a wrap with the alignment. All right. So I'm going to go here and I'm going to highlight the columns, and I'm going to go and do a wrap text. I click on this button up at the top and it's wrapped it. Again, I don't really like some of this, so I'm just going to do some minor stuff right now just to make it look less gross. All right, so we got that. Yeah, I think that's it for that page. Next one now is to put the data in. So before we do that, there's a little section here about putting the pay period on A3. So I'm going to go on A3. I'm going to go pay period. All right, and then it's got two dates. I'm going to go 5/1. I'm entering exactly as it is in the book. I go 2/9. I hit enter, and notice that it auto populates the century. right? And I'm going to go 5, 14, and 2, 9. Also notice, by the way, we're in the distant future too. By now, most of you will have your certificates and stuff, and it'll be really great. All right. And then in A6, our first employee is going to be Bennett. Uh, yeah, I spelled that right, right? And then Alice, that's our first. And then in C6, so we're going to basically get our first row of data. Now, here's really important if you're following along. We're not going to be putting in data here, 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 like right across. Pay attention to the cell and also maybe a titch of your brain too, because the first number is going to go in C6 and it's going to be this number of 24, 58, 60. Now, what would that be? Well, in this case, C6 is not an email, which would be your next cell. It's going to be going in C6 because that number is actually the total service amount. So I'm going to go 2458.6, and I'm going to move over. And I'm actually catching that I made a mistake here. So it's service count, by the way. All right, good deal. The next thing it says is in D6, so this is step 6. In D6, it says put 12 in D6. This is 12, this is D6. That's the number of hours. Always remember, data has got a reason. There's like, make sure you understand what the data is. Don't just maniacally throw the numbers in. All right, so in step 7, it says put 112.98 into F6. So that's not the sales commission. Apparently 112.98 is the storefront sales. So I'm going to go 112.98, and then we're going to go next. Then it says in H6, so not sales commission, but in hours worked, it's saying, hey, put 80. And it did go 0.00. Remember that you can always, like, that seemed like a waste of time there because it's automatically defaulting to whole numbers. And later we'll be able to change the formatting as we did in the previous assignment. Then I6 is saying to put 20. That is apparently the number of hours, that's the pay rate. This person makes $20 an hour in 2029, which has got to be pretty gross for them. All right, but anyway, we're going to go next. So flash fill, this is where we start to get some really interesting ideas. And that's then again in 2-3. Flash fill, where Excel can actually sort of predict some of the stuff moving forward. But before we do, we have to get a lot more data in, right? Did I miss the step that all those names came in? Where I did miss the step. All right. Yeah, I was thinking like we need a lot more data before we start using flash fill. So here is where I basically put the hourly rate, and then I missed 10, which says enter the payroll data in 2-1. Here's what I'm going to tell you about this. This is just a bunch of monkey work, and I don't like monkey work. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take this, I'm going to go expand it so I can see the whole thing. I'm actually now just going to go copy. So I've highlighted all that. I'm going to go Control C to copy it. Then I ditch it. I'm going to go back to my spreadsheet. Now, there's a lot of really gross formatting and stuff in there, which I don't want to have right now. So I'm going to go Control V to paste, or of course you can just go paste here. In fact, actually, if I was really smart, I'd go paste and paste, yeah, in this case, destination formatting. And now what I've got is the data, right? Without having to type all this stuff. This is obvious. This is the names. So I'm going to just basically copy that, or this, yeah. I actually cut it is what I did, which is Control X. I then go paste. Now the data is sitting there. Let me take all this data and just move it over, because what I don't want to do, I don't want to just copy the numbers here, because you'll notice that there'll be a misalignment. Like if I do this, for example, let's just take this row, the set of data. I'm going to go cut, and we're going to go paste. We'll see it looks good until you realize that this number should be over here, this number should be over here, and this number should be over here. So instead, what I'm going to do is I'm just going to right now do that. Just move these guys over, move these guys over, move these guys over. Okay. And that was a cut. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to cut those numbers, throw them there. I'm going to cut those numbers, throw them there. I'm going to cut those numbers, throw them here. I'm going to cut these numbers, throw them here. And even though it looked like a lot of work, that's way quicker and probably more accurate than me just typing them all up. All right, so now we have our data, and so now we get to talk about flash fill. The other thing I'm going to do before I go much further is we're going to take A6 and I'm going to expand it a little bit so that we can see all the emails. And I'm going to anticipate that this will be longer. All right, so let's get some emails in here because that was on the spreadsheet. So we know only because it says here that the email address is bennett.alice@example, todd.tom@example. All right, so let's type this out. Bennett.alice, Alice at example.com, and God, yeah, that's what I was looking for. So as soon as I start typing it, these applications are much smarter than they were back in the late 80s and early 90s and beyond, right? So right now it's basically said, hey, it's effectively trying to help me out saying, look, those are email addresses. Do you want me to just do it for you, which is saving me a ton of typing. I can hit enter and I got all those in there. That was what flash fill is about. Pretty darn neat. And I have to admit, I kind of knew something was going on, but that was a neat example of it. All right, so now what we're going to start working on is the totals area, which is at the bottom. And I'll just show you again what that looks like. That's basically what we're doing. We're going to put in some more row numbers. All right, so let's move this down. Row headings, not numbers. And the row headings are totals in A18, highest in A19, lowest in A20, and average in A21. Pretty easy page. Next one is going to be changing sheet 1 to give it an actual cool name. So we're going to go sales report, which is what the book is suggesting we do. And we're going to go file, save as, and I'm going to type the name. I'm actually going to save it in a different spot, by the way. I'm going to save it in my mod here, and we're going to call it whatever it says I'm supposed to call it. That's right. SC underscore EX underscore 2 underscore Atlas at C Atlas. All right, that looks good. We're going to scroll down. Now, key here, why are we saving now? Well, honestly, we're saving. I could have the automatic save on anyway. Well, I do now because all future changes. I would be tempted to turn that off as we're about to start doing some sophisticated stuff here. But, this is a lot of work. We don't want to basically lose it now, especially if you did manually type all that. So, trust nobody. Your system could go down any second. So, that this is a good logical point to save. Now, the exciting part. Why are we doing this in Excel and not Word, aside from the flash fill that just happened there? Well, we're going to start using formulas. We had a taste of formulas last time. We're going to do a lot more formulas this time. All right, so let's go ahead and get ourselves some formulas. And what I'm going to do here is something the book is not suggesting you do, but I'm going to do it. I'm going to make sure that we have these formulas right in front of our face so that we have an idea what we're doing, right? So that's basically me copying it from the textbook. So I kind of have an idea what is the formula. Obviously, you don't have to do this, but this is just, it helps, right? If you understand what is the actual data that we're doing. Because this thing really holds your hands quite a bit. So the first thing we're going to be looking at is apparently the sales commission. Well, what is the sales commission? The sales commission is the total service amount multiplied by 0.05 plus the service count apparently multiplied by 12. No idea about the logic. Don't really care. That's what it is. So I'm going to go, as soon as I type equals, right? You're getting me to do it this way. Yeah. As soon as I type equals, boom, this is going to be a formula. Remember, if I said equals 1 plus 2, that's a formula. It's going to give me 3, right? But we're going to do something a little bit cooler than this. We're going to go equals. And so we're going to be equaling total service amounts, which is C6. Now I could type this, but instead I'm going to just click on it. And I'm going to go multiplied by 0.05. This isn't a complete formula. I'm just doing this part. I'm going to hit enter. I'm going to test to see if that sort of looks right. Looks good enough to me. I don't really know. Now, if I just went at this point plus, so again, clicking up here, I can go plus, and then I go service count, which is this dude, multiplied by 12, right? I get that value. Now that value, I suspect that is right, but it is not good. So this is actually a good answer, a right answer, but it's not good. It's not good because I'm not using parentheses here. And remember, parentheses are forcing an order of operations. For example, multiplication happened before, division, before addition, before subtraction. So it's a good idea in all your formulas to force your order of operations, even if they're working for you. So in this case, I'm going through and I am putting in parentheses. That's basically what this was. Okay, so that's that formula done. So now what I want to do, I think the rest of this is just, it's just basically saying putting the formula in. So I got the formula in. There's a wonderful conversation about order of operations happening in 2-4. Let you look at that. And then it talks about order of operations again, and I'll let you look at that. I kind of talked about that already. And then what I want to do is, what are we doing here? We're going to put in some of the other formulas. Okay, so now it looks like we're going to be doing these 2, 3, and 4 formulas, right? Again, I'm trying to sort of stay close to the book, but not totally stuck on it. So sales commission is apparently storefront sales multiplied by a point F6. Now I think nope, they didn't do that. All right. So this one is sort of what I did in the previous example. Basically went equals this guy. I clicked on the cell. I multiply it then by 0.075. I hit enter, and so I got that number, and that's great, right? Are we good? That's the right number. That's the right number. Okay. Now for the next one, which is the gross pay, which has got a lot of stuff going on here. They're just showing different ways to do this. So I could just do something similar where I go equals, or the other thing I could do is click on this function and sort of construct it that way, right? But you don't want me to do it. No, actually, no. This one does not want me to do that. It basically wants me to click here and go up to here and go equals. It's the same thing. It is the same kind of idea, right? You can either type it in the cell or type it up here in this line here. So, okay, so this is going to be what? This is gross pay, so it's going to be sales commission, which is that number. It's going to be a straight addition to service commission. Okay, Grant, let's just do what they're actually asking. So it's going to be service commission plus the sales commission plus, and then there's some parentheses going on here, hours worked multiplied by how much this person makes. And we hit the enter button, and now that's in there, and I think, yeah, that number matches the textbook. All right, so now with gross sales, which is now basically step 4, what I'm going to do here is it's a straight gross sales is basically service amounts plus storefront sales. So I'm going to click in here, going to go equals, and I'm going to find the service amount, total service amounts right there, plus storefront sales, which is that number. All right. So I got myself some formulas, and that's great. So far, we've only populated now the first row. I'm going to move this away. I'm not even sure if we need it anymore. You know what? I don't think we need it anymore. We'll just get rid of it. All right. So now how do I get all this worked out? I could retype every single one. That would be really gross. So if you click on the cell, and you'll see that if you move your mouse over, what do they call a handle? So you're going to basically click on the handle, left click, you drag down, and it auto populates. Left click, find the corner, auto-populates. Left click, find the corner, the handle, auto-populates. Click, auto-populate. Oops, that's moving. That's moving. I'm glad I did that because now you know the difference between moving and auto-populate. All right. Now another, I don't know if they tell you this or not, but just so you know, that's a handle approach. You can also go, Control C and then highlight your targets and then Control V. And it's using relative. Do you see how the numbers are changing here? The row numbers are changing. It's using relative positioning for that. So anyway, so we got all that in. Great. Then now they're talking about options, which whatever, I'll let you look at that. And then we're going to here determine the totals using the auto sum button. All right, so we have a total. No point totaling up characters, but you can click on a numerical date. And now, how do they want me to do this? Let's just make sure, because there's going to be several ways to do this. Yep. So they're going to talk about the sum, which we've actually used, but yeah, okay. So we're going to select a range, and what they want us to do for this first example is go auto sum. If I click on auto sum, automatically I get the sum of that total. Cool, right? And then what I can do at this point is go from well, I'm just going to do this way. I'm going to go copy. I'm just summing up the stuff that makes sense. So D to G, which I think is what yeah, I've lost track of where it was in this book now, but just right, or is that coming up? We have a look again. Nope, that's not coming up. All right, you know what? I'm just going to put them in here anyway. It makes sense to sum up the service counts, service commission, storefronts, and so on. Now I could just click on this button, and I think this will do it just fine, and it does. And then I could go over here and also click on this button as well, and it does. Right. So those are my totals. It makes no sense to sum up the pay rate. It would have made sense though to sum up the hours worked. So let's just do that. I did that through Control C and Control V. So now I got myself some totals. Easy one to do. Now we're going to look at what's the highest, the lowest, and the average. Okay. And I think here's where they start to do some neat things. So we're going to get the highest number. So we're going to select the cell right here in C19. That's the highest number. All right. And it says insert function in the formula bar. Sorry, when I say it, where am I here? I'm at 26A, insert function in the formula bar. So we're going to go back up to here. And that's kind of where it was a few seconds ago. So highlighting the appropriate spot, click on the drop down. I want the max because that would be the highest. So I do want the max. Now I think I go okay. This is important to see. It's going from C6 to C18. C6 to C18. Do you see how that would be a problem? Because your total of all of these values will certainly be the max. You definitely want to drop that down to 17. Then clicking on this button, by the way, yeah, doesn't do anything that helps you out. I thought it might highlight that, but it doesn't. All right, so anyway, that is what I would do. So I'm going to click on OK, and that's my maximum. Double check, but that does look like the biggest one. This could then be copied across. So that was how they were showing you how to do the max button. All right, and that whole page is about that. Now we're going to get the lowest, and I think the lowest, what did they do for this one? They basically clicked on the cell, and oh, no, it looks like they did the same thing. All right, so again here, I can go and pick min. Why can't I find min? Okay, I'm going to lose my mind. I can't find min. I'm going to cancel for a second. Oh, that's right. That's what they were trying to show here. Okay, so if I click on the lowest and go to auto sum, but don't click on auto sum but the drop down, that's where I'll find min. So I click on min, and again, pay attention to the numbers. We're only wanting to do up to 17. We don't want to include totals or any of these other. aggregate is what they're called, but aggregate columns, columns that basically are you have simple values, which is just one value. Then you have aggregate values. This value is made up of all these values. So when I'm saying aggregate, that's what I'm talking about. All right, that was awesome. And then I think the whole page was that. Cool beans. Obviously, you double check. We go next. And now I want the average. So this was an example that they were trying to show where you could be using auto sum if it's a straight total. You could do drop down here. You could click on this button and pick something. Or if you're like me and you're actually typing a lot, you can go equals AVG and you'll see that's another way to get to the functions. So you can hit enter. Oh, you don't hit enter. You could hit enter, but that's not what I want to do. I want AV. I'm going to hit this button. I'm going to go then. What are you? Nope. AVE. Okay, great. Do I have to click? Is that what you're telling me to do? Okay, that's dumb. Anyway, I don't know about the clicking part. Anyway, average. And so I'm going to highlight what I need the average of. And then you got the average, right? There it is. Cool. And I think, yep, that was it for that. And then that's the next step is to get these values across. Again, if you just highlight them, grab the handle and drag straight across, you will get all those values filled. And that is where we're going to take the break. So hopefully you were able to keep up with all that. And I don't know, you got pretty well most of your well, not most, but half of this assignment done. When I go up next, we're going to basically format this thing to make it look cooler.